sees the means of production, and the like and subscribe button. For a while now, we have been waiting for the Democratic establishment to do anything in response to the Trump administration and its relentless attacks on our democracy, undoing our society, pulling away at its edges, engaging in open, flagrant corruption. And so far, the Democrats have done, by and large, literally nothing. That's barely an exaggeration. I mean, it really is incredible how little they've done, how little they've said. But we are now living in a new era, an era prompted not by action from the Democrats, as a party, but rather by a very, very unlikely, I forgot to do the thing. A very unlikely mayoral primary victory. Professional streamer, by the way. Yes, Mamdani won. And if you haven't seen his victory speech, you're a loser and you'll probably never have sex. Watch his victory speech, man. He aura farms. It's crazy, okay? It's good. So the question then is, because listen, it is Mamdani versus the world, right? And we have a lot of people to look at. He's going to be facing that. And listen, we are, as far as I'm concerned, it is ride or die. Okay, we have been tossed a life raft. All right, we have been given a through line. Finally, in the nonstop storm, a light has broken through. We need to take this. So it's ride or die. So we're defending him against everyone and everything. Fly coming at Mamdani. Whew, I swat it down. All right, stay vigilant. First, we take a look at the Republicans. All right. And honestly, it's pretty funny. First thing I want to know, okay? Here's Fox News. Here's their recent videos. They've put out, let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. We'll say 32 videos in the past 24 hours. Look for Mamdani. This is a overwhelming upset, an unbelievable meteoric rise of a Muslim democratic socialist winning over the capital city of the planet Earth, the biggest city in America, New York City, financial and cultural center of the country, to a large extent, not trying to start any fights, but, let's be real here. You see Mamdani? Oh, there he is, in the video that I already had up. Panic ensues as Dem Socialist declares victory in NYC mayoral primary. Quick question, you think they're talking about their panic or Democrat panic? They're talking about Democrat panic is what I'm guessing. I haven't seen the video. Who's talking about it? These two? Who are these people? Nobody knows. My answer? They're burying this. Or at least they don't know how to respond yet. They're straight up ignoring it. They haven't settled on a narrative yet. I mean it. That's it. They know Mamdani represents a real threat, in the same way they did with Bernie Sanders. The Republicans, their strategists aren't stupid. They're crazy, but they're not stupid. They understand why the Democrats keep losing. It's not a secret. Everyone knows why nobody likes the Democrats. The only people who can't see it are people like Schumer, or maybe he just doesn't care, right? It's because they care about nothing. They represent nothing. They have no beliefs, and they're completely unenergetic. They know people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Mamdani represent a real threat, but they haven't settled on a narrative yet. The only real, meaningful pushback that I have seen to Mamdani's victory in New York City from the right has come in large part from Charlie Kirk, who has just been essentially an open white nationalist in response to it. Here's a tweet. The lesson from New York City is that both illegal and legal immigration can ruin your country. It's not just the open border, it's also our suicidal mass legal migration policies bringing in over 1 million people a year. Green cards, chain migration, refugee resettlement, anchor babies, and asylum scams. This all needs to be ended. Wow, what a shocker. They actually just hate brown people. It has nothing to do with illegal immigration. Thank you, Dems, for capitulating on this topic. Just enough. The funny thing is, of course, that white people voted for Mamdani. So, like, if the argument, like, well, if we just made New York City a white ethnic state, if we return New York City to what it has historically been, a city with no immigrants, only white people, then everything would be okay. Well, actually, that would have gone even further to Mamdani. The group that voted for Cuomo the most was black people. So, to be clear, listen, you're really hedging your bets on like the Kanye political action group here, okay? Right-wing black people. That was your greatest weapon against Mamdani, all right? white people voted for Mamdani. Charlie Kirk's made a bunch of tweets like this. They're all essentially just like Muslims are evil, Muslims are dangerous. They're all like that. They're not like novel or interesting. The power centers of the West will soon have Muslim mayors. You become what you import. Would you support net zero immigration moratorium to America? 24 years ago, a group of Muslims killed 3,000 people 9/11. Now a Muslim socialist on pace to run New York City. So this is one strategist, right? Or one strategy. One strategy to respond to Mamdani is to just scream like, I'm an Heil, 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 right? And I think a lot of Republicans are going to go in that direction. The funny thing is, like, if you wanted to fearmonger over Mamdani being a Muslim, he's just, let's be real here. Sorry, I'm going to appeal to intuition. Not that scary of a Muslim, okay? Like, if you wanted to appeal to white racists being racist against Mamdani, Mamdani is like a super chill guy. Like, I'm sure you could find some Muslim off the street who has like a longer beard, like they did in that ad where they edited his beard to be longer, that attack ad from the Cuomo group or whatever, and has the hat with the edge. You know what I'm talking about. Listen, I'm not a scholar, okay? I do what I do best, which is sitting here and not knowing much about other cultures. But with Mamdani, it just doesn't work that well. So if this is the approach they're going to take, unironically, I actually think that's a huge losing approach for the Republicans. Doubling down on the hatred, I don't think it's going to work. One of the reasons Trump was able to win in 2024 is because he expanded his coalition with young black men and a lot of Latino voters. Doubling down on white nationalism as opposed to like the Trump-esque civil nationalism where you pretend you only care about illegal immigration, I don't think that works. I don't think that's viable. And I don't think Republicans have the electoral mandate they'd need to do a real white ethno-state. I just don't. I don't think they have anywhere near. Look at how much they're flustering just trying to like maintain deportation numbers roughly equal to what Obama had. Like to even ballpark the same number of people turned away that Obama had, they're like flustered, they're like melting down, they're having to build new Guantanamo bays everywhere, they're freaking out, they're sending people to Rwanda. Oh no, Obama was great at deporting people. I'm not knocking him for the thing he was best at. Well, I definitely am, but I wouldn't say that he was bad at it. It's just that I don't think they're capable of going down this road. I don't think they can do everything they would need to do to make it viable, you know? But I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is the only response that I've seen. Apart from some whiny neoliberals and disingenuous Zionists who are freaking out over like the anti-Jewish pogrom there sure will happen like any day now or whatever. I have not seen any kind of organized Republican response to Mamdani. I haven't. Isn't that interesting? Mamdani is without question right now the center of the Democratic Party. Like, he is the shining star in the night. Everyone knows this is where the energy is. Everyone's looking at Mamdani. And Mamdani knows it. He said in his victory speech, he said, I want to be a model for the Democratic Party moving forward. That statement would come across as arrogant from any candidate other than him. But because it's him, he's completely correct, and he should be. And I love that for him. He will need to have enormous balls to do what needs to be done in the coming years. How are the abundant schools responding? Mostly coping and saying that, like, he's on their side. The point of the abundance liberal movement was to distract people from socialism by making them wheedly little YIMBY policy guys. The fact that Mamdani was like, yeah, I'll take your wheedly little YIMBY policies and also be a socialist means that the abundance movement failed. It was instantly co-opted by somebody infinitely more charismatic than Ezra Klein or Iglesias, you know? And they're not taking it back. Yoink! I think Republicans are going to back Eric Adams. It doesn't matter. Mamdani is won. Cuomo conceded. Eric Adams has like, what, 20% approval? Don't make me laugh. There's absolutely no way with the momentum that Mamdani now commands. For God's sake, like even oh God, I've forgotten how to say her name again. Kathy Hochul. Hochul. It's got to be Hochul, not Hochul. Kathy Hochul, right? Please, God, tell me it's Kathy Hochul. Correct? Okay. Woo. Even she's already kind of bent the knee to him, you know? There's no way Adam wins. Unless something happens to Mamdani, he will be the next mayor of New York City. So with that in mind, what the f are they going to do about him? Fearmonger over how he wants to make New York City affordable? Look at Donald Trump's tweet. It finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zoran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primary and is on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. He looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart. He's got AOC +3, dummies all backing him. Even our great Palestinian senator crying Chuck Schumer is groveling over him. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country. This is nothing. This is a shockingly weak response considering what Mamdani represents. This is very much like we have nothing on him. We can't attack him for being socialist apart from calling him crazy, because if you talk about his policies, he sounds like kind of good to most people. You can't talk about him being a populist because Trump pretends to be a populist. Mamdani actually is one. He went from 0 to 100 with nothing but like charisma and support from regular working people. He's not some billionaire pretender. So you can't really go after him on that angle. And Trump has declined to take the, well, he's a scary Muslim angle, which seems to be what a lot of other Republicans are settling on. Honestly, I think Mamdani has them scared. And I mean it. The silence from Fox News is my evidence. Otherwise, you would already have the 5 or whatever. You would already have like 6 segments laughing at him, you know? And I'm sure they will put those out. Don't get me wrong. They'll come. But they weren't ready for this. They didn't expect this outcome. And they know what he represents. What if Cuomo runs independent? Mamdani won. You got to look at the Fox News Clips channel for people like Fox and Friends talking about Mamdani. Oh, their smaller second channel? That's where they're putting it? This has 5.7K views, and it was put up 2 hours ago.
Democrat Zoran Mamdani declared victory in New York City's Democratic mayoral primary last night.
That's interesting. Why did they put this 11-minute segment talking about an incredibly important, like, internationally acknowledged mayoral race with a stunning upset that you'd think normally they'd all be up in flames about? Why'd they put that in the second channel? That's interesting.
Would be the first Muslim elected mayor of the city if he were to win.
We made history.
I'm former Governor Cuomo and Mayor Adams.
He's a snake oil salesman.
No. Let's hear the rhetoric. I want to hear it. Tear into him.
He's a snake oil salesman. He will say and do anything to get elected. Think about this for a moment. He wants to raise 1%. He wants to raise tax on 1% of New York.
I'm sure Eric Adams campaigning on Fox News when New York City is overwhelmingly Democrat will go down great for him in the general.
His high-income earners. As the mayor, you don't have the authority to do that. You know who has the authority to do that? An assemblyman, which he is. He wants to do free buses. He could have done it at assemblyman.
Former Governor Cuomo left the door open to possibly run as an independent in the general election. First, these results in the primary need to become official with New York City's ranked choice voting system. But we could have a pretty stacked ticket with 3 big-name Democrats in the general election alongside Curtis Sliwa, who's running as a Republican this fall. We'll send it back to you, Harris.
Nate Foy, very interesting race.
Notice how they're trying to delay acknowledging that he's won. Adams has no chance. Cuomo has no chance. Sliwa has no chance. Mamdani has won.
Good to see you. Polling expert and political analyst Nate Silver says Mamdani delivered the Democratic establishment the thrashing it deserved. His victory quote demonstrates.
Nate Silver very much with the I wonder who this sign applies to meme. Nate Silver was saying dumb shit about Mamdani up until broken clock, right? No, this is not a broken clock being right twice a day. This is somebody noticing that a broken clock isn't moving and then manually adjusting its hands over to the correct time at that moment.
Demonstrates how the Democratic establishment is out to lunch, with much of it backing Cuomo, an obviously flawed candidate who came to prominence because of his family name, who has not lived in New York City in decades, and whose preferred bagel order consists of an English muffin. This opened the door for Mamdani's far-left extremism, and we've heard a lot of it on multiple occasions. Watch this.
How many more New Yorkers will you detain? How many more New Yorkers without charge? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
When we talk about defund the
Damn, that's terrible.
NYPD, the entirety of the the push is defund the NYPD.
Rare beardless
and
Mamdani?
refund all of these different social services.
Like, does that just make you uncomfortable? Like the phrase globalized intifada, from the river to the sea?
You know, I know people for whom those things mean very different things. Arabic words can be twisted, can be distorted, can be used to justify any kind of meaning.
To millions of
Incredible, like, it, with all of the public messaging that he's engaged in, the fact that Mamdani is so difficult to clip because he has so much message discipline. Like, the best they can do is clip chimping, like, literally, like, 4 seconds out of a talk where he doesn't even sound bad at all. Like, it doesn't even sound like anything. That's the best they can do.
people, particularly Jewish Americans, globalize the Intifada from the river to the sea only means one thing. Steve Hilton, former senior advisor to David Cameron and Republican candidate for California governor. This is.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll get it. I hope, by the way, and she sounds so enthusiastic. I really hope that Republicans keep running with this angle, because the, like, Mamdani hates the Jews secretly, even though all evidence points to the contrary argument, did not work against Mamdani when it was supposed to. Even with, like, everything stacked against him in the Democratic primary, even with, like, debate moderators asking him why he wouldn't bend the knee to Israel, it still didn't make a difference. He won by a huge margin. So no, please continue going with this line. In an era where every day more Americans wake up and are sick and tired of listening to American politicians bend the knee to Israel, are sick of hearing about Israel every day with Israel, every day we have to listen to the whining and the fake accusations. No, please continue to go with this rhetoric.
Unbelievable to some, but in watching what's gone on, no one was picking a side. I mean, Eric Adams has turned independent. I don't know. Yeah. Independents don't win to any huge percentage and degree in this country. So now both these guys have been sidelined, Cuomo, if he runs as an independent.
Exactly. I mean, it just shows you,
yeah,
exactly
Mamdani
as Nate
won.
was saying, what a complete disaster the Democratic Party generally is in now. And when I hear all these promises from Mamdani about how everything's going to be affordable when the government runs it, I mean, it reminds me of that famous saying about government-run healthcare. If you think healthcare is expensive now, just wait till it's free.
Just make sure to not look at literally any country with government-run healthcare where it's much cheaper than in the United States by, like, a huge degree. All right, well, if this is the quality of discourse we're getting from this particular video, they really do hate their constituents, man. How long, like, do they want this to keep going? You know, like, years and years and years and years and years. They're just hoping all of their listeners never look anything up, which, to be fair, they never do. Dem socialist Zohran Mamdani's horrific views exposed. Zohran Mamdani is a snake oil salesman. Hello, Eric Adams. Really interesting that they put all of this on the second channel. They really did Vaush pit the Mamdani talk. That's crazy. You know what? Let me take a look at what they put out on the main, okay? So clearly they weren't confident enough in these bits to put them on the main, okay? Let me see what they were. This is less than 5 minutes, okay?
We are back with a Fox News alert. Socialist Zohran Mamdani declaring victory as the new Democrat nominee for New York City mayor after former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo concedes.
Tonight was Assemblyman Mamdani's night, and he put together a great campaign, and he touched young people. And
that's you, actually. Just reflexive from this guy, you know? Alan Dershowitz, co-worker ass. In Mamdani's victory speech, he acknowledged Cuomo's concession, but did not thank him or congratulate him on a well-run campaign. It was beautiful. He said, and Cuomo, people started to boo. He held his hand up. And I hear Cuomo has conceded to me. Anyway, and then he went on to thank the hell out of Lander, you know? Really
inspired them. I called him, I congratulated him, I applaud him sincerely for his effort.
In a speech to supporters, Mamdani laying out his vision for the city.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism, to stop masked ICE agents from deporting our neighbors and to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party.
The primary now heads to a
God, he's so good, dude. He's so good.
ranked choice count beginning next Tuesday after no Democrat got the majority of the vote. Carly.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's bring in New York City business owner Richie Romero to react.
Can't you like pretend? Like can't you pretend? You know what I mean? To not always just represent the interests of the capital class. Like you would think even for a moment, like this is not Fox business. You'd think they would want to, like, can't you find like a cop from Staten Island or something? I do like how he's wearing a shirt that no person who lives in New York has ever worn. Yeah. Like, yeah, this is typically what residents of New York City wear. They wear like the shittiest tourist shirt they could possibly find at Times Square.
To this, what was your initial reaction when you heard about this victory?
Honestly, I didn't sleep because I had to talk a lot of people off ledges last night.
Damn. I wish you hadn't. Probably clean up the city a bit.
That were calling me nonstop, moving out of New York, etc.
Really? What were they saying to you?
They're in fear of, what's going to happen with the economy and everything. I look at it, we got to see what's going on with the general election, but it really comes down to it is we need a mayor that's going to reinvigorate the economy and have common sense, and he just doesn't have common sense policies.
So you don't see Mamdani as a pro-business candidate, and you're not the only one. Take a look at this Free Press headline. It says,
he didn't say that. He didn't say he doesn't see Mamdani as a pro-business candidate. He said that Mamdani lacks common sense. This is so forced, Lamau. Yeah, it's just, this is the only main channel video they've put out. Decisions are made behind the scenes about stuff like this, alongside Trump's late and frankly sauceless response to his victory.
business leaders say they'll flee New York City if Mamdani wins. Bill Ackman says it only takes a handful of successful people to leave to decimate the city's tax base.
Didn't Bill Ackman say himself that he wasn't going to leave New York City, that he was just like imagining other people would? Also, if Bill Ackman did leave New York City, that would be a good thing because he's horrible.
And this is an ex-post from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who said, just when you thought Palm Beach real estate couldn't go any higher. That's his reaction to Mamdani being up in the polls before he won, which he did.
That's your retort? Ha, a socialist won trying to make New York City affordable. The housing prices in my state just went up. Really? That's the remarkably tone deaf in an era where nobody can afford to buy a house, and you're like that's your incredible, really.
And this is because Mamdani right now plans to raise the corporate tax rate from 7% to 11.5%. How does that sound to you?
It's awful. What do you think is going to happen? Everyone could easily relocate now. People aren't.
Yeah, dude, that's true. No businesses will do business in New York City. Oh, sorry guys, the corporate tax rate is as high as it is in some other states. It's no longer economically feasible to do business in the largest city in the country.
In offices. We need to do a marketing campaign in general in New York just to get the skyscrapers filled with office businesses in here. So who's going to pay for all these things he wants to do with all these freebies?
Yeah, well, I love the businesses that you run in New York City. You have a bakery that I used to go to all the time, and it shut down. Is that because it is so difficult to run a business in New York?
Are you kidding me? You don't even currently own a business in New York City. You're a failed business owner. That's seriously, this is the prime you brought on. This is what you had for us. This is your argument.
City.
It is, and that's one thing that he keeps bringing up. That we could have these dollar stores and do all these things. You can't. It's simple economics of supply and demand. You can't pay $30 minimum wage and then want to do dollar pizzas and have business run if you in 1 hour.
This guy is barely literate. You genuinely, you're not even. The reason why the woman is railroading him and just giving talking points to respond to rather than having a back and forth is because this guy isn't even articulating the points he probably agreed to talk about beforehand. He can't even make the arguments. Yeah, I see why your bagel shop failed. You're illiterate. Did you file the forms properly?
You have to sell 30 slices of pizza. You're not paying for it. It's just simple economics.
So I see your I Love New York t-shirt. You clearly love New York in this.
Stuff like this, Fox News, It's like an Onion sketch. Please keep running shit like this. Please, I'm begging you. Keep running with this. Okay? This isn't manufactured consent, it's processed consent. It doesn't feel real. This does not feel like a real thing that I'm looking at.
City. What would you like to see take place?
Listen, I have a very simple thing to how to make New York work. The biggest problem is, like, he won mainly through TikTok, and you got to realize most people, responsibility makes you mature, not age. And he's letting people just they want the freebies instead of really wanting to be like a mayor should be like an expediter of dreams and break through it. And we have to break all this red tape.
Genuinely, what the f is he saying? I'm actually not joking. I don't even understand what point he's trying to make. What is wrong with this person? This person's from Jersey, right? I'm just guessing that based on the shirt and the what's this guy's name? Did you get a name from the beginning? Richie Romero, co-owner of Zazzy's Pizza. Co-owner Zazzy's Pizza. 1.2 thousand followers on Twitter. Wait, is this his actual account? Is this Professional Charmer? Joined March 2009. I think this is him. I'm pretty sure that's him. He's not active at all. Pizza review by Michael Rappaport.
Fantastic. If you're gonna do a pizza review, eat the whole slice. Okay? One bite for little manorexic bitches that may or may not bleach their asshole. Zazzy Pizza. Fucking great. Eat the whole slice. And another one. One bite. The fuck out of here. I'll do one less cursing. Yo, these meatballs are good.
They're meatless. There's no meat in them.
The what?
They're meatless. Meatless meatballs.
What's up, man? What do you mean meatless?
They're meatless meatballs.
Get the fuck out of here.
I swear to God, bro. They're meatless.
This is incredible. This is really the guy they brought on to Fox News? Like vegan Caesar salad. If you look up Zazzy's Pizza on Google Maps, it has like one location open and the rest are permanently closed. Hold on. Yep. Wow. West Village, permanently closed. This one is permanently closed and it has 1 star. Okay. There's this location. This was 4.4. Okay. Permanently closed. This one's 1 star, permanently closed. This one is 4.1 permanently closed. Do we have an open one? Do we have a not permanently closed one over here? We have a nondescript, unreviewed, right over here. In is this Brooklyn? Forgive me, I'm not an expert on New York. I've only visited. Yeah, that's definitely Brooklyn, right? Yeah. That's it. Oh, wait. And one up here, permanently closed. That's great. That's great. Okay. Sorry, I'm just savoring the sort of expertise of the one guy they brought on in response to Mamdani's overwhelming victory. Sure, let's just finish the bit. Here we go. This New Yorker right here. Read the reviews. I don't want to.
That's in New York. Like even all the different things from DOH, people waiting for Con Ed, for DOB and everything. They're all on different tech platforms that don't even talk to each other. And the biggest thing that we need is, and that's why I'm wearing the I Love New York, is we need a real marketing campaign for New York. We need trade shows in Javits Center. You got to realize, like even the International Pizza Conventions in Vegas. We did a restaurant convention. They had it in Javits. It was only 2,500, 3,000 people. Yeah. 50,000 in Chicago. We need that. We need businesses in the trade and all the skyscrapers.
Well, clearly you're very passionate about this issue. I mean, this is a stunning swing to the left.
Dude, she's not biting anything that he's saying. Literally every single time it gets pitched back to her, she just goes, oh my God, this is art. Oh, they couldn't find any other person. They couldn't allocate any more time to the topic.
After the general election, where the country said that they were going more to the right, you were up all night talking people off the ledge because of this win. Hopefully you can get some rest because there still is the general election in November. Richie Romero, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go somewhere. Me, dude. They're gonna pitch Mamdani up to have a second victory.
Thank you for having me, Carly.
All right.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brad.
I don't care. Okay, so yeah, that's what we've got from the right. You have, isn't the lack of a big response to Mamdani from the right bad, though? No. It's harder to gain a national profile if your opponent doesn't play ball. It doesn't matter. Mamdani already has an international profile. It's New York City. It would be one thing if he was like a congressman, you know? A congressman is just one person in a group of hundreds, you know? This is the mayor of New York City. They are scared. He's already, yeah, he went on the Tonight Show. The governor of New York has already acknowledged his victory. I know that, you know, they're just a posting account, but the Democrats on Twitter have congratulated his victory. They're not, there's no future right now for the Democrats outside of this line. Like, this is it. This is the ray of light, you know? He has a national profile and he knows it. Trust me. God, I hope he doesn't f it up. Look, me too, but also, who's better suited for the task, right? Jerry Nadler already endorsed Mamdani. Hey, bend the knee, kiss the ring, you stupid pieces of sh. That's what I like to see. Yeah, he endorsed Scott Stringer in the primary. But you got the endorsement? Okay. Hey, Democrats, vote blue no matter who, huh? Adams, maybe Cuomo, they're independent. What happened to vote blue no matter who? Yeah, just put the endorsement in the bag. Mr. Nadler, a Democrat, said Wednesday that Mr. Mamdani's apparent victory was a, quote, seismic election for the Democratic Party that I can only compare to Barack Obama's in 2008. That is a good sign, man. That is a good goddamn sign. Here's Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer tweeted from his personal account because he's still sobbing. Chuck Schumer was so upset that Cuomo didn't win that he almost died. Chuck Schumer hospitalized for dehydration after feeling lightheaded during scorching heat wave. Fake news! He tried to kill himself after Mamdani won. Almost? Yeah, I know. He was the guy getting talked off a ledge. We're so back, man. Yep. Dehydrated from crying so much. Chuck Schumer will also bend the knee. I've known Mamdani since we worked together to provide debt relief for thousands of beleaguered taxi drivers and fought to stop a fracked gas plant in Astoria. He ran an impressive campaign that connected with New Yorkers about affordability, fairness, and opportunity. It is significant that even people like Schumer feel the need, like they don't think they can ignore it. You can't ignore it. It's such a nothing tweet, though. Oh, yeah, he typed it through tears, of course, but they are scared. Right now, the only real response that I have seen, the only meaningful counter that I have seen from the right especially, is just Islamophobia, and I don't think it's going to be enough. Unironically, the fact that New York can get 9/11 and then, 24 years later elect a socialist Muslim mayor is a sign of New York City at its absolute best. The idea that it is a shining city, a beacon on the hill, to which any can come, and where anything is possible. That is America. Brad Lander did a good job encouraging Democrats to fall in line. We'll talk about that next, but let me put this one in the bag, okay? How long till we see true rat against Mamdani? Don't preempt failure, okay? Do you cross every single crosswalk thinking, how many times can I do this before I get hit? No. Keep your head held high. Yes? That sounds like an anxiety disorder. You shouldn't be that worried about stuff. What's a good title? Mamdani's victory has terrified the right. Mamdani's win has terrified the right. The right is terrified of Mamdani. Probably the right is terrified of Mamdani. Yeah, dude, I really like this. Isn't this such a cute? I think it's from Red Rabbit Trading Co. I normally prefer gold to silver, but for Western stuff, silver's pretty much the way to go, in my opinion. Pessimism is great because you can't be disappointed, only happily surprised. That's actually like, that's total cope. That's actually not true at all in reality. Because if you're pessimistic, you're just miserable all the time. That's just that's actually a coping mechanism, you know? Like you're just pre-gaming disappointment forever. It's like saying, well, never making any friends is better than making friends, because at least if you never make any friends, you can't be let down by those people who would maybe become your friends. Like, it's just like loser's mentality. Yeah, man, better to be pessimistic all the time. As if that's what losers think. Unknown Anomaly, thank you for the wild dono. Hold on. Okay, we got a lot of donos to read, but we're not there yet. We got to do, we got to see, we got piss to pee, we got to poop, and we got piss to pee. Yes, sir. Just put the tips in the bag. Brad Lander! Or my new best friend, Brad Lander, who will be reborn as a lotus flower.
Yesterday was really remarkable. You're right. There has been in New York, in some ways, ever since the pandemic.
This quality is terrible. Absolutely terrible. 240p, huh? You know what? The audio is what matters.
Pandemic, and certainly since Trump's election, a real it's kind of a dark time. You got Trump in office. You have Eric Adams' corruption. You have Andrew Cuomo running this campaign like the city's in crisis. And meanwhile, Zohran Mamdani runs this very hopeful campaign. He and I then cross-endorsed in an unusual way that ranked choice voting makes possible. And people said, we love the idea of politics as more of a team sport for the future of our city than as the selfish politics that Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams have played. And yesterday, voters all over came out in this really hopeful spirit that said, we want a New York City that everyone can afford and where everyone belongs. And I hope Democrats around the country are inspired by it.
There are certainly Democrats who will be looking at this and wondering what it could mean for them. I wonder if you think that should be Democratic Party leaders like New York Senator and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. What do you think he should be thinking about today?
Well, look, I mean, Zohran Mamdani has won the Democratic primary. You're right. We have to see the ranked choice tabulations, but Andrew Cuomo conceded. Everybody knows it. Democrats now should come together behind the Democratic nominee. And well,
I love this because it's a weaponization of the rhetoric that Democrats have beat us over the head with for years and years. But this time, unlike those times, he's referring to an actual popular mandate, not the entire deep state uniting to push Biden to the front of the candidacy list, you know? This is what we heard with Biden after the media did everything in their power to make Biden the default choice, okay? But nobody made Mamdani the default choice. He had to fight and claw his way up the hill to win. And now it's time for you to bow down and you to unify behind the unity candidate.
Help him win in November.
Okay, and also you're aware, conservatives are seeing opportunity here. Actually, President Trump just posted about the race.
No, they're not. Actually, and I mean this sincerely, this is collaborationist rhetoric. Don't act as though Mamdani is a weakness for the Democrats. The Democrats are a weakness for the Democrats. Mamdani is your one strength. Okay? The Democrats are a scrawny, bullied weakling who finally, after scrambling in the dirt, after getting the shit kicked out of him for 45 minutes, has found a dagger in some bushes. And he pulls out the dagger, and the bullies all go, oh, you got a little knife? And your thought here in this situation is, look, they're making fun of the knife. You have made yourself weaker before them. Toss the knife. Don't be stupid. Yeah, they're going to focus on Mamdani. They can't ignore him. So rally behind him.
And he said, it's in part, it's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zohran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primary and is on his way to becoming mayor. As you know, of course.
Wow, that sounds like, yep, they really found the weak point in the armor there, huh? I like just a weakness opened up. You're kidding me. Trump calling a Democrat a deranged commie? That's, oof. If only Mamdani hadn't won, maybe we could have finally avoided, we could have been clear of this accusation.
We're noting here there are more steps ahead of us here, but what is your response to that?
Well, first, I love that Zohran Mamdani is in Donald Trump's head. In that same tweet, Trump calls Senator Schumer a Palestinian. Like, they're going to lie whatever we do. What I think this election shows, what last night's election shows, is people are hungry for a hopeful vision, and they're hungry for fighters. I'll be honest, I don't think the line for the party right now is between progressives and moderates. I think it's between fighters and folders. People want someone who's going to go to bat for working people, paint a real vision of a city people could afford, fight for it, and get on the field. And that's what I think Zohran did. I was proud.
This is true, by the way. Like, genuinely, I really think the difference between socialists and moderate liberals is much less significant than the difference between people who can do and people who cannot. Like the line right now, because sitting on the back benches will be both dickless establishment liberals and do-nothing socialists who sit on Twitter and whine about everything. You know, like, they're both going to be there doing nothing. They get to play in the loser's ball pit filled with piss, you know, out there actually doing things. If you're a moderate, I don't care. You know, your mental illnesses are your problems, okay? Fall in line and don't get it, you know, make a fuss when Mamdani tries to make the world better against your better instincts. Your job is to help where you can.
To be a part of that with our cross endorsement, and that's what I think Democrats need to do in New York City and really all across the country.
He has proposed.
I love Lander, man.
Aftershocks of last night's political earthquake in New York City are still reverberating.
Let's see how CNN's doing.
Throughout New York and well beyond. 33-year-old state assemblyman Zoran Mamdani.
Here is a potential roadmap to success in New York in a primary context, but they're trying to figure out now, well, how do we apply this to more purple areas that they need to win in order to be a successful national party again? And there's no easy answer to that because there's a debate here. Is it Mamdani's progressive policies? Lots of centrists say, no, that's not it, though AOC and Bernie Sanders will tell you that is exactly part of the winning formula. Or is it that a young person appealed to young voters?
Policy, it's not even policy that matters, like fundamentally. It's about the energy to fight back, which Democrats lack completely because it's just anathema to neoliberals. Liberals used to be able to fight back against fascism. That's why World War II played out the way it did. Seriously, like there were it's crazy to think about today, but liberals as a political class used to actually get in like street fights over issues from like women's suffrage to the availability of food in grocery stores to union rights to like people who proudly called themselves liberals, right? Because liberalism is a very influential like ideological umbrella that contains within it a lot of things that you and I agree on, right? So, you know, suffrage, liberation, egalitarianism, even if it doesn't often succeed in achieving these things. Nowadays, though, liberals aren't defined by their ability to fight. They're uniquely weak, especially compared to fascists, who you think would be the liberals' natural enemy, but clearly no.
In an authentic way, can he, you know, come through with some of these promises that he wants in a very expensive city? I would add two things to what David said. One is, I think you cannot ignore there was a big anti-Andrew Cuomo vote. People do not like him, and we saw that on display. And then just the question of New York versus national. There are two very high-profile governor's races, your home state, New Jersey, Mickey Sherrill. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger. These are centrists who look...
Oh, so they want Mamdani to fail? CNN? Yes. We are going to consume CNN in great quantities, though not, I'm afraid, this segment, because I don't care for its tone. I want to see the arguments. Why? Because Mamdani is going to be attacked from every angle. And we need to be very, very smart and very aware in how we defend them. Don't act on doubt. Don't second guess. You need to be twice as self-assured as the stupidest Trump supporter you know, okay? Because Trump is a billionaire backed by billionaires. Mamdani is a guy backed by you. You do not have the luxury of capital inertia backing up your opinions. You have to be the inertia yourself.
The results are coming in what could be a real-time referendum on the future of the Democratic Party. Many analysts see New York City's mayoral race as a litmus test between establishment Democrats and the younger, more progressive wing of the party. CNN's chief data analyst Harry Enton is with us at the table now. Harry, whoa,
earthquake.
Whoa, yeah.
I mean,
okay, tell us where we are right now.
I mean, look. Mamdani is ahead by plenty at this point. You can see on your screen right there, that's a 7-point lead right now in terms of the first round votes. Now, obviously, New York uses a ranked choice voting system where essentially you eliminate all the candidates, you reallocate their ballots because the folks who get a ballot will rank their candidates 1 through 5, and you essentially reallocate the votes until one candidate gets at least 50%. But I will tell you this, if you look on your screen, you see the third place candidate, Brad Lander, co-endorsed or cross-endorsed with Mamdani. Most of his votes are very likely to go to Mamdani, and not a single pre-election poll that I saw had Cuomo getting anywhere near the type of support that he would need once those ballots are reallocated. That lead will almost certainly stand up, and that is why I do believe that Cuomo has conceded conceded
Yes,
the Democratic nomination.
And he's called Mamdani to concede, which is extraordinary.
Let me tell you
Extraordinary.
this. I study New York City politics in my entire life. The only New York City primary that I think is tantamount to this in terms of the earthquake is 1989 when David Dinkins came in and defeated
1989? Who says it like that?
Ed Koch, who is running for a fourth term for mayor. That is the type of earthquake that we're seeing here, and he's done it. He came into this race down, 30, 40 points to Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, who everyone thought was a huge favorite. Apparently not. He did it by activating younger voters, by activating very liberal voters, by cutting into Andrew Cuomo's base with black voters. The bottom line is this. Mamdani is now a force to be reckoned with in Democratic politics nationwide going forward.
Joy, you talked to him on Friday.
We had him on the show on Friday. We also had Brad Lander on, and Brad Lander talked about being tackled by ICE agents as he was trying to defend immigrants. What Mamdani said that I thought was really extraordinary, he would be the first immigrant mayor of the preeminent immigrant capital in the United States, a city that is a sanctuary city where people are still being accosted at their immigration hearings.
Because of Eric
and so
Adams,
I think just symbolically, I think this is a message about people's revulsion in the treatment of immigrants by this administration, and about the ways in which the Adams administration has been complicit in that.
Can I
think
play
that's
a little
part
bit,
of what's
Joy,
made him
from
popular.
your interview with him, where he talks about this? Let's listen.
You know, I would be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations, and I would be proud to be that, but even prouder for what I would actually do. This is a city of immigrants. We've said for so long, 40% of New Yorkers were born outside of this country, and yet what we've seen in the current mayoral administration, and even in Andrew Cuomo's campaign, is an insufficient readiness to actually take on Donald Trump and protect New Yorkers. One of the things we should be proudest of in New York City are our sanctuary city laws. These are laws that have kept New Yorkers safe for decades, been defended by Republicans and Democrats alike for that time period until the demagoguery of this current mayor. I would proudly stand up for those laws.
So he's talking there also about Eric Adams, who we haven't really talked about.
Everyone be patient, by the way. It's important to this, for this groundwork to be laid, because eventually the opinions start flying out.
Because he's not in this primary, but is expected to run on another line in the general. This will be an indictment on Eric Adams, too, and his willingness to, I guess, in the words of Mamdani, stand up to Donald Trump.
There's no one happier after Mamdani and his family than Eric Adams tonight, because everyone over 50 years old who remembers Times Square in the 1970s and the 1980s when you couldn't walk through, it was all pornography and muggings and rapes and robberies.
With the inexplicable trans pride flag tie. Don't really know, a little incongruous there, but
everyone who remembers that is going to vote for Eric Adams. The New York Times, who didn't do an endorsement, did say, please don't vote for Mamdani, as did the Daily News, as did the New York Post. So anybody who knows how bad New York can get all came out against Mamdani, because a 33-year-old with zero experience running anything except a little office with 5 employees should not be running the city of New York.
Donald Trump is president of the United States. His experience was being on The Apprentice. He's head of the Pentagon. His experience was being a weekend anchor on Fox. Are you kidding me? He's got Dr. Oz is in his administration. Dr. Oz,
you're leaving out something.
Me?
He's a 33-year-old socialist who's never run a popsicle stand.
He's literally in city government right now. Sorry.
By the way, I consider this also a massive losing argument for the establishment, both from the right and the left. How are you going to go after Mamdani for inexperience when nobody respects experience anymore? Trump won. Nobody cares. Okay? Nobody gives a shit. Nobody thinks the government is like a sacred, honorable occupation that can only be held by people who have like law degrees from Harvard anymore. Nobody believes this shit. Nobody cares. Okay? There are tons of Democratic representatives with law degrees from Harvard who have like 10% approval rating. Okay? Nobody cares anymore. If this is what they're going after him, again, win for Mamdani.
Donald Trump, I'm sorry, after Donald Trump and his Pinky in the Brain administration, no one ever gets to talk about qualifications.
Socialism will not save
the bottom line is, what I want to ask you a question. What is your evidence that Mamdani would return New York City to the 1970s hellhole Times Square. What is your evidence of
It's
that?
very simple. So he wants to raise taxes on people who make the most money. What eventually is going to happen is you're going to lose that tax base. Once you lose that tax base,
I think that when we take over, it should be illegal to talk about capital flight anymore. It should be illegal. What if you applied this argument to everything else? Like, you can't make rape illegal. If you do that, all the rapists will leave the state and go to another state. Honestly, they probably did talk about that when people in England were first like cooking up the idea of making rape illegal in a book or something. They were probably like, dude, they're like, I know good rapists. They're gonna like leave to go to the Duchy of Wickenburg or something. You know, they're not gonna stay here. Say, all right.
our bonds will get degraded. Now the city budget will not be substantial enough to subsidize not only the cops, but the fire department, the sanitation department. Once you start losing Wall Street and people who pay $11,000, $12,000 a month to live on the Upper East Side, you're done. Let me ask you. And you go back to the 70s when Gerald Ford said to New York, drop dead.
Okay, but hold on, Arthur.
Crisis.
But Arthur, just as somebody who is just listening to you.
Their argument concedes that it's a race to the bottom and that the solution is to raise taxes everywhere. Yes, no, that is true. Yeah, 100%. You need, like, this is what I meant yesterday when I was rambling about, like, the global capitalist spider web. You need, like, a global system to crack down on the movement of capital, because otherwise everything just pools in the area with the most slaves and the lowest taxes.
You raise the taxes on wealthy people in this city, maybe a couple percent, right?
They're already at 50%.
Yeah, they're already
53%.
and that's exactly my point. They're already paying some of the high. I know, Arthur, but Arthur, they are already paying right at this moment some of the highest taxes in the country, and you think that 1 or 2% is going to cause a mass exodus out of New York?
Hannah just said it's correct. It already has started.
I just want to be clear that that's what you're saying, because I think that seems pretty extraordinary.
Because he's also not going to focus on crime. Right now, you have Police Commissioner Tisch and John Schell, the chief of the department. Crime in the city of New York right now is set to break all records as the lowest.
Oh, it's the lowest. Okay.
Ever in recorded history for shootings and murders. Once that starts going up in the other direction, and the tax base is gone, and sanitation is gone, and schools are gone.
Okay, last thing I will say, and then I'll let you in, Anna. Well, last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you in. Under Eric Adams, crime.
If spending on police correlates to lowered crime, then why does America have so much higher crime than Norway, even though we spend like dozens of times more per capita on our police? Maybe not dozens, that's an overstatement. Far more, though, out of curiosity.
Did go up in the city.
And then went down.
Yes, but
that was during the pandemic.
And
migrants.
Exactly. But I'm just being clear. Crime has already gone up in New York, and it has come down. So even when crime went up in New York, there was perhaps some departure, but there was not a collapse of the tax base in New York City. Okay, Anna, go ahead.
Okay, so I am not.
Is this guy capable of not shouting? No, he doesn't actually believe the stuff that he's saying. This guy, I'm not so sure about this one with the little dorky suit, but this guy is paid to sit here and loudly argue with black women. That is his job. He is always like this. It doesn't matter what the topic is. He is always wrong. It's like crossfire stuff, basically. It's not. It's just meant to lower the quality of discourse. The problem is that if you have a panel where you discuss the issues and everyone there is trying to be like impartial, the left will win every time. So in order to balance out the fact that the right is wrong, like just by default, you need to have loud retards who are paid to say stupid shit. And they have to be loud to compensate for the lack of an argument. Exactly.
New Yorker. I live in Miami, where we don't have 50% tax rate.
I've already
we have our share of insane elections and insane politicians. But this reminded me. You talked about the Dinkins election. To me, this reminded me of the AOC versus Joe Crowley election, where there was this establishment sacred cow who thought
these people think it's because of ethnic homogeneity. Yeah, but London also has a much lower like violent crime rate per capita than like pretty much anywhere in America, right? And London is super multiracial. So if the argument is like, well, it's because New York City has more black people or whatever, like, no, London has a lot of non-white people. it is difficult to crunch data on police spending and also on crime between countries because countries record crime differently, but homicides are pretty easy to keep track of because they're, you know, we all have basically the same definition of when a person dies violently, more or less. It's easy to compare that, at least. Same with Paris, right? Same with Berlin, you know? And look, it's just, I know he doesn't believe what he's saying. What I want to see is, what are the attacks Mamdani is going to endure? And as a warrior from Mamdani, okay, you also need to be ready.
That because of his name and because of his pockets, he could walk into it, and there was a young upstart who put a lot of leather and, you know, a lot of footwork and
boots on the ground.
and boots on the ground and did it. And so, you know, I would say when it comes to
it is true that Mamdani is one of the few young reps I have seen who consistently wears leather dress shoes and not shitty dress sneakers. And I, at least in part, attribute his victory to this.
New York, do not underestimate the sweat of these folks. And by the way,
he won. I'm not underestimating.
I would just say this.
And I would not have voted for him.
If you were saying that Eric Adams is the person who's loves this result the second most compared to after Mamdani.
He'll be the anti-Mamdani.